and welcome to the first podcast of Dream Chasers. I'm very excited to have our first Dream Chaser, Mr. Fedel, here with us today. Go ahead and say what's up to everybody.
Hey, what's going on, world? It's Fedel, Harlem Zone. Just happy to be here.
So today we're going to talk to Fedel about how he went from being a college-educated young man to deciding to take the leap to actually chase his dreams to get things started to, to that next level for him. So our first question, did you graduate?
2008, May 2008, which seems like just yesterday, but I guess that's, a few years.
Undergrad. What did you think you would be doing with your life right now?
Oh, that's a good question. I guess I always knew in some, capacity I would be going after, I always say like going for the gusto, like going after what I really am passionate about, which is music. I didn't know which form that would take. I did internships like MTV Networks. I worked at HBO, NBC, and I just felt like maybe working in like an entertainment company would end up being how I, gradually climb the ropes from within. But then coming out and just having such a fast-paced creative process, I was like, you know what? I don't think that that's the way that I'm going to go about it. So
you get out of school and you're like, all right, I think I'm going to go, and I've done these internships. What was the first job that you got?
The first job was actually, I was an NBC page.
What does that mean?
Which, I don't know if people ever saw the show 30 Rock, but there's a guy on there, I forget his name. I think his name is Kenneth or Kenny or something. I think the way that they depict him on the show, I think is glorified, because what we do most of the time is just give tours of the NBC studios.
Got it.
So like Saturday Night Live and Conan O'Brien when he was there, and just different shows, we'll like literally walk people. Good Morning America will walk people around and say, this is Studio 8A, and the roof is made out of felt padded steel, and it was built in 1970. I don't remember half of the stuff, but it was my first job, and I wasn't the fondest of it, but it definitely was a learning experience, and it helped like my public speaking and just meeting new people and stuff. So. And
how long did it take you to find that job once you graduated?
I was one of those people, just because of family situation and stuff. It wasn't an option for me to come out and not have a job. So I actually landed that job in February of my senior year. So I started working 3 days after I graduated.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Talk about an overachiever. My goodness.
Wow. I don't play, man.
That's even in a recession, you got 3 days?
I needed that Fetty, man. No.
I respect it.
Yeah.
And so then at what point did you decide that, all right, you didn't want to do the page life and you would go to like a different, try something else within your career?
Well, I needed more money. The page thing, let me tell you, because I hate when people go through experiences. You know when people get famous and then like people who aren't famous like ask them like, oh, how'd you get here? And they say like, well, I was doing this and I did that, and then the rest is history. And like I always told myself, I never want to be one of those artists when I do make it big, and so I want to start now with doing that. And so that program paid $10 an hour for you to work over 60 hours a week. You got one holiday a year, so you picked Christmas, Thanksgiving, July 4th, whatever. It was crazy.
No way.
I mean, and you got to think about it, like 7,000 people apply per year for only 50 spots. So it's highly selective, and I had to go through a bunch of interviews, but once you get it, they know that it's such a big thing within the television world that they can pretty much do what they want with you. So for me, I was like, this is a great opportunity, but I need more money. So I ended up taking a nonprofit job, and it's still something that's cool, because I still get to work with the youth and stay connected and learn what kind of music they like and what they're into. But overall, I just needed more money, to be honest with you.
Got it. And that's where you are now with the nonprofit? Okay.
Yeah. Job music is my life. I consider that as my means to pay the bill and fund my dreams. I think that's the most honest, answer for that. And
at what point within the, your job at the nonprofit did you decide, all right, it's time, like now or never, to start pursuing the dream?
I would say from the day I graduated. Some people may know if you really listen to my music, but my younger brother, who's a year younger than me, he actually passed away of a heart attack my senior year, a month before graduation. And I think I was always doing music since I was 16 years old. And that's actually one of the things that helped me win my scholarship to go to college in the first place, was me giving in a copy of my music. And talking about what I wanted to be, all that kind of stuff. But I think when I got to college, I kind of got caught up. I don't want to say caught up because it was great experiences, but I got caught up in like the college life, like the parties and the going to class and, all these other things. And then I think when he passed, it really showed me like, he was only 21, so you don't ever know when you're going to go. So I really feel like now there isn't time to sit back and say, oh, I'll go after that thing later. So I think when I graduated in 2008, that's when I started really taking it more serious.
And then, so for you, what does chasing your dream mean, like in literal terms?
I would say that chasing my dreams for me means to be a commercially successful hip hop artist. And what I mean by that is, because I have a lot of people that support me and say things like, regardless, even if you're 10 years from now, you're performing at the Bowery and you're putting on dope shows, like, we'll be there to support you, X, Y, and Z. And while it's great and I love them and I thank them for that, my goal is not to be some underground New York artist. My goal is not to be I really do it for the love of the game. I do because I love hip-hop, and you can hear that in my music. But my goal is to be able to live and live well off of my talent. Because I really do think I do something that most people can't do. And I think that's the difference between a lot of these other acts that you might see and what I feel about myself. So chasing the dream for me is all those things, meetings, trying to book, college shows, ultimately to end in not just a record deal, but endorsements and I think lucrative business deals outside of music that really set me up to be a, financially successful person. And
for, the college kids who are listening out there, how do you think college has impacted how you approach chasing your dream?
I think college, more than anything, has done two things for me. One, it gave me a broader scope and a more realistic view of what the world is like. I think before college, all I really knew was New York City, and, I thought I was super smart because I knew which trains to catch without having to look at the map. So to me, that's like, I'm clever. You know what I mean?
Hey, well, don't downplay that though. It's easy to get lost in New York.
It's a big thing, but that doesn't speak to. I'm sorry, that doesn't speak to like the person who grew up in a farm town, and if the whole world came to an end today, that person knows how to grow his own food, and I don't. You know what I mean? And so, not to say that I want to know how to do those things necessarily, but it's to say that going to college made me more aware that it made me aware of the fact that there are other skill sets, there are other things that should be valued in the world.
Got it.
That's the one thing. And the second thing is that it just informed my music. I think a lot of people compliment me all the time, and I don't necessarily like the term conscious. I'll put quotes around that, but they always say like, oh, I think, you do conscious music, X, Y, and Z. And I feel like everyone who does music or who does a movie, everyone's conscious. People know what they're doing. But people have just made a conscious choice to take a different route for faster financial means, if that makes sense.